So Phase 1 of the Chabahar International Port Project was inaugurated on the 3rd of December by the Iranian President Hassan Rouhani. India's External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj was the guest of honor at the function. India is developing this strategic port at a cost of 4,000 crore rupees. This will give India land access to both Afghanistan as well as to Central Asia. So will Chabahar turn out to be India's trump card in continental Asia? So this will depend on a couple of factors. The most important one, of course, is the rivalry with Pakistan and China. Remember, China is also developing a deep water port in Gwadar in the Balochistan province of Pakistan. And the distance between Chabahar and Gwadar is barely about 70 kilometers, one in Iran, the other in Pakistan. But there's a strategic difference in these two ports and the objective behind the two benefactor countries that are supporting these two ports. China, for example, through Gwadar, is hoping to use it as a gateway into the Arabian Sea. It's part of what China calls its maritime Silk Route. Chabahar, on the other hand, for India, is supposed to give it strategic access, land access to Afghanistan and beyond that to Central Asia. In addition, Gwadar offers the ability to carry greater tonnage of cargo through the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor at a cost of $1.5 billion, which is part of the much larger $46 billion China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. On the other hand, the USP of Chabahar is that it offers strategic land access for India into Afghanistan. So let's look at this point, trade access into Afghanistan since the time of independence, because primarily Pakistan refuses to give transit rights to Indian companies to transport their goods into Afghanistan. What Chabahar will do is bypass Pakistan and offer India an alternative route by land from Iran into Afghanistan. This will hopefully give Indian companies access into Afghanistan, where India has landed quite a few lucrative deals. So India's grand plan is to link up Chabahar to Zaidan, which is a provincial capital in Iran, and from Zaidan to the Delaram-Zaranj road, and from this road eventually get it access to Afghanistan and beyond Afghanistan to Central Asia. But it was not just taxpayer money that was spent on this, Indian lives were lost. So this road passes through Afghanistan's volatile province of Nimruz, which has fallen back into Taliban rule. And already the government of Afghanistan has warned that some of these consignments could be potentially targeted by the Taliban. Through the port of Chabahar, what India is also hoping to do is access to the North-South Corridor project, hoping to increase its share of trade with the 5 Central Asian countries. China, on the other hand, has already set up export channels in Central Asia. China exports just to Tajikistan twice as much as India exports to that region. Proximity doesn't necessarily mean greater trade or greater trade access. Well, China also outstrips exports to East Africa as compared to what India exports by a large margin, despite the fact that India has proximal location. India has 2,875 kilometers of its west coast, which is far closer to East Africa than China is. So the crucial gains out of Chabahar may not necessarily be economic, but more strategic. So where does India lie strategically in this part of the world? So when the Phase 1 of the Chabahar Port Project was inaugurated, and when External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj was the guest of honor there, one other invitee who the news media did not focus much on was Pakistan's Minister for Maritime Affairs, Mir Hasil Khan Bizenjo, who was also invited by the Iranians. The Iranians have time and again maintained that Gwadar and Chabahar are not in competition. In fact, they're sister ports, and they've also declared that formally in an agreement. And not just this, Iran has also been accused in the past of supporting the Taliban in some parts of Afghanistan, the very same Taliban that the Afghan government and US forces are fighting against, and who have attacked India and India's interests in Afghanistan. Through Chabahar, India will certainly increase its footprint into Central Asia, both diplomatically as well as through trade and economic linkages. And some of the benefits of this trade, increased trade, will potentially flow in. May not be at the pace at which India expects or hopes, but certainly will flow in the long term. But what it also does is it exposes India and Indian companies potentially to the murky politics of this region.